All right, so are you ready for this?
Ready.
Today, we're going to take a deep dive
Okay.
into the world of negotiation, and we're going to learn from the best.
Okay.
Alex Cooper, the mastermind,
Huh.
behind Call Her Daddy.
Call her daddy.
We've got an article here that breaks down some of her strategies, and
Yes.
trust me, this is going to be fascinating.
Yeah, what I find really fascinating is that
Okay.
Cooper just landed a deal with SiriusXM
Oh, wow.
for $125 million.
Wow.
That's more than double what she had with Spotify.
Double.
Yeah,
It makes you wonder how she does it.
I know.
Right.
Right.
The article highlights her emphasis on emotional intelligence, EQ.
Uh-huh.
She's even quoted as saying, "Half the time I'm leading with EQ, not IQ, because that's what moves the needle."
That's a great quote.
It's not just about being nice, though, is it?
Not at all. There's a strategic element to it.
Right.
Take her previous deal with Spotify, for instance.
Okay.
She knew they were hesitant about her initial asking price.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of playing hardball, she focused on building relationships
Smart.
with key people at Spotify,
Mm-hmm.
understanding their concerns, and ultimately,
Yeah,
she presented the deal as mutually beneficial.
I see.
This EQ-driven approach was a key factor in securing that deal.
So she's not just reading the room, she's shaping it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really insightful. The article also mentions that Cooper believes in meticulous preparation,
Uh-huh.
even practicing her body language and eye contact.
Wow.
She learned this from her mom,
Really?
who always told her to write down her thoughts before any negotiation.
So it's not just winging it.
No.
This isn't just about memorizing lines either.
Okay.
There's actual science behind this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Cooper practices power posing before negotiations.
That's power posing.
Research shows that standing tall shoulders back for a few minutes can increase your confidence hormones.
Huh.
It's like she's priming herself for success.
So there's a method to what some might consider madness.
I think so.
I like it. But some people might argue that over-preparing can make you rigid.
Yeah, that's true.
Do you think there's a balance to strike?
Absolutely. It's about being prepared,
Okay.
but also adaptable. You don't want to be so tied to your script
All right.
that you can't adjust to the situation.
Right.
It's about having a solid framework,
Okay.
but also being able to improvise and respond to cues in the moment.
That makes sense. The article also touches on the idea of a relational approach to negotiation, which I have to admit I'm not totally clear on.
Think of it this way. It's about approaching the negotiation as an opportunity
Okay.
to build a relationship, find common ground,
Mm-hmm.
and focus on shared interests. It's about shifting your mindset
Okay.
from I win, you lose to how can we both win?
So instead of trying to extract every last penny, you're trying to create value for everyone involved.
Precisely. And Cooper is a master of this. She understands that building strong relationships can lead to more favorable outcomes in the long run.
It's like she's playing a long game, not just focused on the immediate win.
She's building a network, cultivating trust, and positioning herself for future success.
It's interesting because this seems to go against the
Yeah.
traditional cutthroat image of negotiation.
It does.
Yeah.
And that's what makes her approach so refreshing
Yeah.
and effective. She's not afraid to break the mold and challenge the status quo.
Which brings us to the SiriusXM deal.
Okay.
It's not a straight-up $125 million payout.
Right.
The article mentioned it's tied to her performance over the next 3 years.
Interesting.
What are the implications of that?
Well, this is what's known as a performance-based deal,
Okay,
and it's quite common in the entertainment industry.
I see.
It essentially means that SiriusXM is betting on Cooper's ability to continue to grow her audience and generate revenue.
So they're confident in her brand and her ability to deliver.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a calculated risk for both sides,
Mm-hmm.
but it also speaks to the power of Cooper's brand. She's built a loyal following,
Yeah.
and SiriusXM is banking on that loyalty, translating into success for their platform.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
This performance-based element adds a layer of complexity to the deal.
Definitely.
On the one hand, it gives Cooper the potential to earn even more than the initial $125 million.
Right.
But on the other hand, it also puts a lot of pressure on her to deliver.
That's right. She's essentially betting on herself and her ability to continue to grow. Call her daddy.
Wow.
There's a lot at stake.
It makes you wonder how she handles that pressure.
Yeah.
Does it affect her creative process?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And it's something she's actually spoken about before.
Oh, really?
She acknowledges the pressure, but also emphasizes the importance of staying true to her vision
Okay.
and her voice. She believes that authenticity is what resonates with her audience,
I see.
and that compromising that would ultimately hurt her brand
Yeah.
more than any short-term gains.
So it's about finding that balance between meeting the demands of a performance-based deal
Right.
while staying true to her creative instincts.
Exactly. It's a tightrope walk, but it seems like she's navigating it well so far.
This whole conversation has got me thinking about my own approach to negotiation.
Uh-huh.
I've definitely got some work to do in the EQ department.
Well, the good news is that EQ is a skill that can be developed.
Okay.
It starts with self-awareness, understanding your own emotions, and how they impact your interactions with others.
Right.
There are also practical techniques you can use, like active listening empathy,
Yeah.
and framing your arguments in a way that resonates with the other person's values.
So it's about being more intentional and strategic in how we communicate?
Precisely.
Yeah.
It's about understanding that negotiation is not just about logic and reason.
Okay.
It's also about emotions and psychology. And by tapping into those elements,
Yeah.
you can significantly increase your chances of success.
This is really insightful stuff. But let's go back to Alex Cooper for a minute.
Okay.
This SiriusXM deal is huge, not just for her,
Yeah.
but for the entire podcasting landscape. What kind of impact do you think this will have?
It's definitely a watershed moment.
Okay.
It shows that podcasting has arrived as a major force in the entertainment industry.
Wow.
And Cooper, with her massive audience and her groundbreaking content,
Right?
is leading the charge.
It's almost like she's flipped the script on traditional media, right?
Totally.
She's built this empire outside of the established Hollywood system.
Absolutely. She's a disruptor.
Yeah.
And this deal with SiriusXM is a testament to her power and influence.
Yeah.
It also signals a shift in how media companies are approaching talent.
How so?
They're recognizing the value of creators who have built their own audiences and their own brands.
So it's not just about the content anymore.
Right.
It's about the community, the connection, the influence that creators like Alex Cooper have cultivated.
Exactly. It's a new era of media.
Wow.
And Cooper is at the forefront.
And she's not just resting on her laurels. She's launched her own network, Unwell Network,
Oh, yeah.
which is home to several other successful podcasts.
That's right. She's not just a creator, she's a businesswoman, a media mogul in the making. And this SiriusXM deal is just one piece of a much larger puzzle.
It's fascinating to see how she's leveraging her success to empower other creators and expand her reach.
Yeah.
It's almost like she's creating her own ecosystem.
And that's a brilliant strategy. By building a network, she's diversifying her revenue streams,
Okay.
creating a platform for new voices, and solidifying her position as a leader in the industry.
It's really inspiring to see someone like her break through all the barriers and achieve this level of success.
It is. And it's a reminder that anything is possible with the right combination of talent,
Yeah.
hard work, and strategic thinking.
We've talked a lot about Cooper's strengths, but are there any potential downsides to this deal?
Well, as we mentioned earlier,
Okay.
the performance-based element puts a lot of pressure on her to deliver.
Right.
And if Call Her Daddy doesn't meet certain metrics, her earnings could be significantly less than the headline figure.
That's a valid point. It's a high-risk, high-reward situation.
It is. And it'll be interesting to see how she manages that pressure and how it affects her creative decisions moving forward.
The article also mentioned that SiriusXM is betting on her tremendous value. That's quite a statement, isn't it?
It is.
What exactly makes Alex Cooper so valuable?
It's a combination of factors.
Okay.
First and foremost, she has a massive and highly engaged audience, particularly among young women.
Okay.
This demographic is incredibly valuable to advertisers, which is a major revenue source for podcasting.
So her audience is key.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's more than just numbers.
Okay.
It's the nature of that audience, their loyalty, and their connection to Cooper's brand. She's built a community around Call Her Daddy,
Right.
a space where her listeners feel seen, heard, and understood.
It's like she's tapped into a cultural nerve, especially with her candid conversations about sex relationships and female empowerment.
Exactly. She's not afraid to push boundaries and challenge societal norms.
Yeah.
And that boldness resonates with her audience.
I see.
They see her as authentic, relatable, and someone who speaks their language.
And that translates into influence.
Precisely. She's not just entertaining her audience.
Right.
She's shaping their opinions, their values,
Yeah.
and their purchasing decisions.
That's incredibly powerful. And it explains why SiriusXM is willing to invest so heavily in her.
Yeah,
They're not just buying a podcast, they're buying access to her audience and her influence.
exactly. It's a strategic investment in a brand that has the potential to generate significant returns.
I'm curious, though, about the potential downsides of this performance-based deal for Alex Cooper herself.
Well, as we discussed, the pressure to perform is immense.
Right.
If Call Her Daddy doesn't hit certain targets, her earnings could be affected.
Yeah.
This could potentially impact her creative freedom,
Okay.
as she might feel pressured to produce content that caters to those metrics,
I see.
rather than staying true to her artistic vision.
That's a valid concern. It's a delicate balance
It is.
between artistic integrity and commercial success.
And it'll be interesting to see how she navigates that tension moving forward.
She's also not just negotiating for herself anymore.
Right.
She has a whole team at Unwound Network whose livelihoods are tied to this deal.
That's right. The stakes are even higher now.
Oh.
She's responsible for the success of her entire network, not just her own show.
It's a lot of responsibility.
It is.
Yeah.
But it seems like she's up for the challenge.
It seems like Alex Cooper is really changing the game when it comes to negotiation.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
She's challenging the traditional power dynamics and showing that women can be just as savvy and successful in the business world as men.
Absolutely.
It's interesting because she's not just negotiating for herself.
Right.
She's advocating for other female creators through her network.
That's a really important point.
Right.
She's using her platform and her influence to elevate other voices.
Yeah.
And create opportunities for women in an industry that has historically been dominated by men.
And that's where her impact extends beyond just financial aspects of the deal. It's about creating a more inclusive and equitable media landscape.
Exactly. Yeah. She's a role model, a trailblazer.
Yeah.
And her success is paving the way for other women to follow in her footsteps.
We've covered a lot of ground today, from the specifics of the SiriusXM deal to the broader implications for the podcasting industry and beyond.
It's been a fascinating exploration of Alex Cooper's negotiation mastery and what we can all learn from her approach.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, let's leave our listener with a final thought-provoking question.
All right.
Knowing what you know now about Alex Cooper's strategies and the different approaches to negotiation, how would you prepare for your next important negotiation?
What steps would you take to ensure you're walking in with confidence, clarity, and a strategy for success?
Right.
Think about your strengths, your value, and how you can leverage those to achieve your goals.
Remember, negotiation is a skill that can be developed over time.
For sure.
Don't be afraid to experiment,
Right.
to make mistakes, and to learn from your experiences.
And most importantly, don't be afraid to ask for what you deserve.
That's great advice. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of negotiation with Alex Cooper.
It's been a pleasure sharing these insights with you.
Until next time, happy negotiating.